It is now noon, and I first started taking these crazy cloud videos this morning around sunrise. Notice the shapes cut out here in this cloud and the curvature right here. And the extra little curvature right there. Almost like a fine line, even though it's curved, it's not a straight line. There's definitely a few fine lines in there where it doesn't fade from one side to the other. There's a clear-cut line. Almost just want to stay on this one. There's a few more in the sky that I want to show also, but this one's putting on quite the show. So we'll let him continue to shape up and take shape while we go up on the roof and check out this one over here that's also illustrating some jagged edges down here on the corner. Yeah, let's go check it out. So you got that one over there, taking shape in the middle. Got these two blobs kind of cruising upwards there. This one here. Got one out here just kind of hanging around. This one's got the trailing edge streaks coming off. And another blob over here with almost a spherical shape here in the middle. So it's noon now, and these have been going all morning, almost as if to shake people out of their comfort zone and get them to embrace mystery and say, I don't know what the hell that is, but I have never seen a cloud look anything like that. Most people you pointed out, they're like, oh yeah, the weatherman said it'd be partly cloudy in the morning and partly sunny in the afternoon. Yeah. Just like the air quality here. Today it's pretty clear. Then when it goes from clear to where you can't even see the mountains. See, there really is a mountain over there. It's still kind of hazy. That's the one you can never see when the haze really sets in. And there's a mountain over there that you can't see when the haze sets in. And then these ones here go from invisible to slightly visible as they get closer. When that haze sets in, people say like, oh yeah, they said it was some fires down south and a storm moving in that was gonna blow the smoke in. As if, because the weatherman said something about it, that means it's not out of the usual and the experts already have it all explained away. So I need not pay any attention because they said this was coming. They said partly cloudy in the afternoon, partly sunny in the morning, and that's all you're seeing. Weatherman said this is exactly what he said it would happen. And they try to explain it away. This almost looks like a tentacle reaching up. But they do that to try to normalize it and minimize it so they can forget about it. Told my stepdad the other day there was a big old weird looking cloud, and I was like, cloud dragon? He's like, I can't look, I'm driving. And that's the attitude they take with their whole life. I can't afford to look at that stuff. I'm too busy with my eyes on the road, going to work, paying the bills, dealing with going through the motions of life to pay attention to the meaning of life. And the fact that whatever the meaning of life is, we all get to find out the big answers here real quick. And I think that's part of what this is to acclimate us to our reality that's breaking down and to make us comfortable with whatever the new reality that sets in is going to be. Because this is the end of the world as we know it. That already died. You know, like people that are dead, they just don't know it. Our reality is dead, we just don't know it. And this is bringing us to the point where we're coming to know it and accept it and be ready to find out some of the answers. This is like supposed to raise a lot of questions in our mind, like what the hell is that? But some people can't afford to have those questions in their mind, and they need everything to be explained away. As soon as you show them something they don't understand, they want you to skip to the last page of the book and give them the meaning to all of it, because they can't sit with the question for very long. They need everything to be known and explained, and it makes them feel comfortable because they feel if they understand it, therefore they have some sort of control over it, and that feeling of control gives them a feeling of security. Like the song says by Jack Johnson, the feeling lost and found us again, the feeling that we have no control. And they want to maintain that illusion of control by pretending this is all explainable. And then when I bring some shit that's unexplainable into their field of view, they're like, well, then explain it to me. What does it mean? What is it? I don't know. I was just showing you what it isn't. That's a cloud. That's what it's not, is a cloud. Well, then what is it? I don't know. Well, then why does it even matter? And they're so uncomfortable with having the question remain unanswered that they choose not to even look and look at something else. I can't look. I'm driving. I can't think about that stuff. I got bills to pay. And soon, they won't be able to go engage in busy work in order to distract themselves from what's actually happening all around us. This is the bills you have to pay. And there's a lot of people that are spiritually, mentally, morally bankrupt. And they know that the true meaning of life was neglected by them for their whole life, so they can't afford to start paying attention now. But for those of us that can, you can see that whatever that is in the middle, creating that shape, that outline, that imprint on the cloud, is a big giant question mark in the sky that most people can't afford to even pay attention to. Unless you can provide them the answer, they're not going to look at the question, because it makes them feel insecure. Being okay with the question, feeling comfortable knowing, being able to say, I don't know, is one thing a lot of people are incapable of doing. So we're all going through a process, and it says in Alcoholics Anonymous, this system works other than for those who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. That accounts for a large portion of our population. They are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. Constitutionally, that means your constituency, your makeup, what you're made of. And the stuff that they're made of inside doesn't allow them to be honest with themselves. And say, I don't know. They go around pretending that they do know things that they don't, and as soon as you bring it to their attention that there's something they don't know, they demand you give them the answer or retaliate against you for popping their bubble and breaking their illusion that they know things about the world and that there's not much about the world they don't know. And so this is a truth that they're incapable of allowing to soak into their mind. And they shoot the messenger that brings it to their attention. And so there's a lot of people, the things that are important to them aren't important to me, and the things that are important to me are not important to them. So when we're in proximity, they continue to engage in small talk, sports, weather, and traffic in order to not open the conversation about the news, the real news, what's actually going on around us. And so they just fill the airwaves with nonsense that doesn't matter by talking about things that are insignificant, that really don't make much of a difference, that you can't be right or wrong about. And so to avoid letting them fill my airwaves and get me to focus my attention on the things that they want to pay attention to, the insignificant, meaningless things, sometimes I just have to disengage. Because they don't want to resonate on the frequency of the radio station that I'm tuned to. They want to tune my dial to the radio station and the frequency that they are tuned to, which is insignificant, meaningless nonsense about the minor details and the minutiae of daily life and going through the motions of life, rather than the actual big picture and the meaning that we're all about to get some answers to. Because they're afraid of those answers. They pretend that there are no big questions that they don't already have the answers to. When you start talking about this stuff, it makes them so insecure and uncomfortable and fidgety, they just want to kick you out of the car. And so when we're around each other, I just have to not talk about anything that matters to me while they babble on about meaningless, insignificant nonsense, the things that they like to focus their attention on, to keep them distracted from the things that matter to me, the things that are actually meaningful. And so for that reason, we just kind of got to go our separate ways. So it's not wrong for them to be preoccupied with menial, insignificant things that don't interest me to talk about. It's like the difference between children and adults. They talk about things that aren't very interesting to an adult and act like it's the biggest thing in the world. The latest political development, COVID, infections, this and that. But when you know, like the song by Tool, Anima, says that it's one great big festering neon distraction, I have a suggestion to keep you all occupied. When you know that that's what it is, it doesn't interest you, and this is childhood's end. And some people want to continue going through the motions of life and continue being a truth seeker rather than a truth finder. As the saying goes, I think it was some political figure, some famous quote by someone that said, occasionally men will stumble upon the truth, but most of the time they pick themselves up and hurry off as if nothing ever happened.
This is an image from the end of the music video just put out by Imagine Dragons called Monday, and it appears to show plasma fire. This is exactly what my neighbor's tree did. One of my neighbors said the fire had just started, and they went in their house to grab their camera, and they came back out, and the whole tree was in flames. So this appears to show plasma fire, like I've been showing for 3 years, and people seem to want to go about the motions of life as if the meaningless, insignificant details of political developments matter, and turn their attention away from the reality of what's happening all around us. So it's not wrong for them to want to do that. It's just a difference of priorities that causes them to want to focus their attention on meaningless stuff. And then in order to engage in conversation with them, you have to focus your attention on that meaningless, insignificant stuff in order to have a conversation. And I said on my way to Missouri, the difference between the no's and the no-nots is widening, and soon we won't be able to have one conversation. You'll have to either choose to engage in conversation with the no's or with the no-nots. And that's where we are. And he's dancing around in his gas mask. It cut the brightness on me. He's dancing around in his gas mask, reading the newspaper. This whole music video is about the end of the world. Starts out here showing you the Monday news with the world on fire. Insomnia, floods, fires, earthquakes, meteors, UFO attacks. Those earthquakes and meteors can be seen every day on Mr. MB3's videos, and the UFO attacks are yet to come. But meanwhile, the great big festering neon distraction keeps most people's minds occupied on small, meaningless, insignificant things, so they don't have to think about all of this. They don't have the capacity to. They haven't exercised their internal world enough throughout their lives in focusing on truth and discovering truth that we've come to a point where they're just incapable of doing so. Breaking story, Earth is doomed. Meanwhile, they're partying it up because the song is talking about how it's a brand new start. Monday is a brand new start. And on the news, it's showing the fires. And this, if you look closely, it looks like a meteor, but it's got the spiked protein look, just like the COVID ball. Again, there's all the hot spots, and that's about what Logic Before Authority was showing when these plasma fires start. You can see them from the satellites go a burst of light. And if you look closely at this part, you'll be able to see that that meteor has all the little sucky pads around the edge, make it look just like the COVID ball. The resolution isn't coming through very well right here, but I'll link the video in the description. Is this the end? Signs point to yes. Chaos reigns like thunder. Kind of like their song, There's Always Lightning Before the Thunder. And if you notice the very bottom line, it says, does it say still top priority? I think people should rearrange their priorities in light of all that's going on around us, but most of them don't. They continue to focus on things that used to matter and no longer do. In the light of everything going on around us, going about business as usual as if none of this is happening separates us into two different worlds. And then he turns around and goes back into his cave like he's partying it up in this underground bunker. This song and this music video is definitely not predictive programming, because predictive would imply that it's about something that will happen in the future. It's about what's happening all around us right now. Everyone's jumping in their bunkers. The military has been ducked in Cheyenne Mountain since the beginning of COVID. Remember? And I haven't heard that they've come out. I think they're still manning that bunker. Their doomsday plans are still in full effect. But it's kind of become normalized, and people have acclimated to it and gone back about business as usual.